We just had a massive report drop from Shams Charania revealing the Toronto Raptors have officially pulled off a fleecing of the NBA. They have pulled off a heist on the entire league as Brandon Ingram has signed a contract extension with the Toronto Raptors, now making that trade. I looked at the trade deadline, look like an absolute steal. It already was, but now, specifically with this contract that he just signed, the details getting revealed, frankly, this is way better than I could have imagined. As frankly, I expected a contract extension to be incoming. Most people did when the Raptors pulled off a move at this magnitude, giving up first-round pick, giving up other assets out there in a trade. We all expected a extension to be incoming or a signing or whatever the heck it was going to be. But the details of this extension, frankly, couldn't be better and honestly make me confused as to how we got Brandon Ingram at such a price if this was going to be his open market value out there in free agency. So we're going to break down the details of this new contract, why it is such a good move for the Toronto Raptors and Brandon Ingram, and why I am just pumped for this Raptors future, for this Raptors team. But folks, you guys have been crushing it, hitting the sub button. I made a video a few hours ago. We were so close to 37,000 subscribers. We'll probably hit it today anyways, but it would be perfect to hit 37,000 subscribers off of a video such as this one. So if you haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, you just tuned in to all the latest Raptors coverage, all the moves that have been going around, hit that subscribe button because frankly, this team is set up now. This team is in position to really just be outstanding, be exciting, just be in an awesome sort of direction for the future of this organization. Let's, without further ado, jump into the report. So basically, news has come out that essentially bringing the right graphic, new Toronto Raptors star Brandon Ingram has agreed to a 3-year, $120 million contract extension with the franchise, including a player option in 2027-2028. So, Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul and his agents have agreed to this deal. They've told everybody. So, this is genuinely perfect for the Toronto Raptors. Now, Shams also went on to say that Ingram was traded by the Pelicans to the Toronto Raptors last week and now arrives in Toronto with a lucrative extension. The new deal shows the commitment on both sides. The Raptors lock in a shot creator and offensive force surrounding Scottie Barnes. Now, this is absolutely perfect. It is phenomenal for the Toronto Raptors because Brandon Ingram is a legitimate star caliber player. He's been an all-star out there in the NBA. His stats back all of that up, averaging 22 points per game this season, 5.6 rebounds, 5.2 assists, and does turn the ball a little bit, but shoots 37% from behind the three-point line. Not much of a spot-up shooter, even though I think he could, in a right system, be improved in that area, 25% on corner threes, but he is 27 years old, 6'8" on the wing, pure bona fide bucket getter. That is Brandon Ingram. This dude just comes out and can immediately slide into this Toronto Raptors team and get you some points, get you some buckets. And frankly, I couldn't have asked for more for Brandon Ingram coming in at this trade deadline because we've heard Brandon Ingram rumors percolating. I made some videos over the summer about Brandon Ingram coming to the Toronto Raptors, and not a lot of people were high on the Brandon Ingram moves out there in the offseason. And frankly, there's some people even frustrated about it right now. But the thing about this Brandon Ingram move right now is it doesn't affect the rebuild for this current season. Of course, the team is trying to get one of those top draft picks for this current year. This year is a bit of a write-off anyways with how young the guys are. The hole of this team's already been dug. So acquiring Brandon, the people are saying that this is dumb and speeding up the rebuild right now is crazy. In the offseason after a Pascal Siakam trade, sure, I can maybe understand the arguments more, but what we're seeing right now, like the perfect time to acquire Brandon Ingram, and people are saying, it'll affect the tank. That is what it is. I'm writing off those arguments right now. The one thing that I may have understood from people discussing their reservations about calling the Brandon Ingram trade a big steal, a big W for the Toronto Raptors was what type of contract he'd be getting, because Brandon Ingram has dealt with some injuries over the course of his career. That's a reality. That's something we all have to accept, acknowledge. It is what it is. So locking him into a 5-year contract, there might have been some reservations to a guy that's injury prone, especially in the modern NBA. That is a bit of a risk. At 3 years, at a 3-year contract extension, again, you have to take some leverage of risk, some level of, when you're bringing in star caliber players. You can't just assume every all-star caliber player is going to be perfect. You're not getting Nikola Jokic or Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's the reality of what's going on. But 3 years, you get a perfect window to really figure out, hey, is Brandon Ingram that guy that we want to pair alongside Scottie Barnes long-term? How's this roster going to look? Who's going to be the key pieces? You get a very, very nice window to, over the next 3 seasons, figure out how this roster is developing, how the young guys are coming into their own, and frankly, how good this team can be around a Brandon Ingram, Scottie Barnes duo. Because Scottie, of course, this season has his own flaws, his own holes in this game, specifically as a three-point shooter, but still, averaging 20 points per game, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Him and BI as two cornerstone pieces for your franchise. When you pair alongside that, Immanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, Gradey Dick, whoever the heck we get out here in this upcoming draft class. I mean, it is an absolute masterclass. That's the only way to put it. That's the only word to describe what Masai Ujiri was able to pull off over the stretch of this really past year. Since the OG Anunoby trade and we saw all the moves, again, some of them may have been questionable at the time in the moment, but really we're looking at a core right now, and we can take a look at all the contracts, how the team is looking with everything. BI, Immanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, and Scottie Barnes, Gradey Dick. And then as role players, you have Ochai Agbaji, Jacoby Walter, you have Jonathan Mobo, Jamal Shead, Jamison Battle. You have 11 guys that are, and Chris Boucher, assuming he could potentially stay around out there long-term on this team. You have a deep squad of absolute bona fide NBA players for sure, but a couple star players, a couple guys that are young with star potential. You are just putting together a collection of guys in their, mid-20s that can grow and develop together, figure out which ones work well the best, assume they get healthy with one of the best medical staffs in the entire NBA, and we could put together a group that frankly grows into a proper playoff tier team. And of course, it's tough to we have to see proper leaps, proper jumps in terms of development to really classify these dudes as a championship winning core. But this is how you get there. You build up competent squads, you build up rosters that are competing out there in the playoffs season after season. We saw with the Celtics for multiple years. Were they a championship team 3 years ago? Probably not, but then, they're at that tier, they're at that level, they're knocking on the door, and then they make a couple moves for Drew Holiday, Kristaps Porzingis, they win a championship. Right? That's what happens. The Denver Nuggets a couple years ago, they're knocking on the door, then they make a couple moves. Bruce Brown falls into their lap. Christian Braun plays well. Aaron Gordon's out there on the roster. A couple moves, they go into the championship contention. The Toronto Raptors, years of DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, knocking on the door, and then you make a trade for Kawhi Leonard, still with that amazing core in place, and you win an NBA championship. And the people that are arguing, hey, Brandon Ingram doesn't put you over the top, what trades, what moves couldn't have put us over the top? What are we talking about here? Brandon Ingram coming in is an absolute heist at the price that we had to give up, and now he's on a flexible, team-friendly contract, and in fact, he's not even going to put us over the tax next season, as assuming we don't make any other moves, as $40 million annually for Ingram is about what he'd assume in terms of exercises. We'll see whether it's a flat or escalating 8%, but either way, it will be doable, but a bit snug to fit everyone and a top pick this summer underneath the cap. So the Toronto Raptors are still positioning themselves as under a tax team, which is great to see because, frankly, you want this Raptors group to not be, in the repeater tax because, frankly, we are now on that upswing. We are on that upward trajectory. There's no more seasons after this where we're going to be, out there at the bottom, assuming, injuries don't play into account, knock on wood, assuming things don't go. Masai Ujiri, with this contract extension, has made a commitment to winning out here in Toronto in the short term, and frankly, I am pumped about it. I think it's the right time to do it with the group that we have, the trades that we've made. I am absolutely amped up here right now. Let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section down below. You guys are the best to make us far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.